Hello and welcome to the Business of Hearing podcast. And today we're joined by a special guest to have an interesting conversation. Today's special guest is Dr. Melissa Segev from Audiology Associates. And this conversation is, I'm going to say the word unsexy, in a way that what we're talking about isn't sales, it's not marketing, it's not the exciting cliche stuff that you'd expect from a podcast that predominantly talks about increasing sales and marketing. Instead, we're talking about something that's critically important to growth and success, and that's hiring, training, and maintaining great members of staff. Because what generally happens when we grow businesses in this industry, outside this industry, is that the more people you bring in, the easier it is for the owner's beliefs and what they want to drive to get lost. The more people in the business, the harder it is to really ensure everybody is pulling in the right direction and has the same set of beliefs about the reason we do the things that we do. What Dr. Melissa does in order to achieve that, in terms of how she hires, how she trains, and then how she ensures everybody's constantly pulling in the right direction, is very interesting. And we're going to dive deep into some of the ways she does that. And then secondly, we have an interesting discussion around pricing, because one thing that Dr. Melissa has done is been bold and put her pricing on her website for the world to see. We talk about the fears and concerns she had before that, the lessons that have been learned now that is in place, and how that has impacted patient conversations, front of office conversations, provider conversations, and had an overall impact on the business. So let's get stuck in.
Welcome to the Business of Hearing podcast, the podcast for high-performing hearing care clinics that want to learn the strategies, ideas, and truths behind some of the smartest private practice clinics in the world. Now, time for your hosts, Phil M. Jones and Ollie Luke.
So hey, Melissa, thanks for joining us today. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm awesome, thank you. And I suppose the best starting point is, for the listeners, give us an understanding of your story, of kind of how you got to where you are today.
So my name is Melissa Segev, and I am co-owner of Audiology Associates in Maryland. I have a partner, Brianna Bruno Holton, who is in a different part of Baltimore, and together we run Audiology Associates. So we are a family-owned business. Audiology Associates was started by my father, the late Craig Johnson, who passed away from cancer in 2013. Prior to him passing, the goal was always for myself to take over Audiology Associates. It just unfortunately happened sooner than later. But I was very fortunate that his wish was that Brianna Holton and I join together and grow his legacy, which was always audiology, and his passion was patient care. So he trained us a certain way that the patient's always first. And Brianna and I are very, very similar in our thinking, and we are basically two peas in a pod. So we were able to continue to grow his legacy and open several more offices since that time.
Amazing. And that's something I really want to explore, the growth and the opening offices while maintaining the kind of key DNA, which is the high levels of patient care, as well as this kind of nice team culture you have. So just give us a bit of context to, I suppose, the growth of opening. When was these locations opened over the past several years?
So we opened probably about 3 years ago, another one location, and then the year after that, so probably about 2 years ago, we opened 2 more offices in the same year. And we have plans for future growth as well. Due to COVID, we've obviously halted a little bit, but definitely have long-term plans of growth. And I think, we consider Audiology Associates, we refer to it as AAI, a family. We truly care about every one of our employees. We're there for whatever they need professionally and personally. And so we really just try and give them a ton of support wherever they need it. I think as a company, we really call ourselves a family and try to incorporate not only our employee, but as well as their family when we make decisions. So most decisions are made in our company as a group. If there is something that Brianna and I feel is not an option, then we decide And there are a lot of things we kind of steer the ship, but the destination we go is really up to the employees. And there have been times where for example, for COVID, we closed for 8 weeks. Our employees felt very strongly that that was the correct thing to do, even though in Maryland we were essential and could have stayed open. And we chose to respect our employees' decisions and ours, and we closed for about that 8-week time period. So just that's an example of just, I think, how we listen to our employees, and they always have the best ideas.
Gotcha. And I suppose where I'm leading to here is one common issue that I see when businesses start to grow, add locations, add new staff, is that the core thing that you guys believe as the owners and what you're driving can get lost. The more people you bring on, the less direct contact you have with them. How are you instilling kind of the culture and what we stand for and finding the right fit? Like, just give me an understanding of the hiring process and what you look for.
Sure. So when we hire, Brianne and I are involved with every employee we hire. And I would say we don't have a hands-off approach. For every audiologist that hires, I do all the training. For all the patient care coordinators that are hired, Brianna is heavily involved in their training. So we get to know them really well. We get to basically instill our values on them, which we have very high expectations of what our employees are to do and how they are to approach patients and talk to them. We have scripts that they are to follow. We have an employee handbook that they are to read and become familiar with. So I think Brianna and I have a very hands-on approach when we hire. It's not, we don't pass them off to our audiology director or to our practice manager. We are involved 100%.
Gotcha. And I think that's certainly unique to what most do. They have the key person in the team train, and then the message can get lost. So from your perspective, what are the key hiring lessons that you would give to, I suppose, a private practice audiologist that wants to add more of the right staff?
The first thing I do is I feel I can teach anyone the job. What I can't teach is personality. I can't teach empathy, and I can't teach a warm approach and maybe a bubbly personality, or so, not even bubbly, just someone who can have a conversation. So I'm looking for someone, especially for our patient care coordinators. That is the most important job, because that's the role of when the patient first walks through the door, when the patient first answers the phone or calls our office and the employee answers the phone. That is the person they hear, and that voice better be friendly. So we have coached our current patient care coordinators just to smile when they answer the phone. No one can see them, but the smile is going to come through. Sometimes we always send feedback to our patients. So we want to know what their opinion was and their first impression. And so we kind of really take that to heart, any feedback we receive, and then we will counsel that employee as well. But when you were asking about hiring, the first thing I want to do is just have a conversation. I want to ask open-ended questions to these potential employees and see what their responses are. And then maybe give them scenarios of things that seem very easy and common sense to most patient care coordinators, but not everyone thinks that way. So it can kind of steer my opinion whether I think they could handle the job appropriately and connect with patients, or whether it's just not going to be a good fit for us.
Amazing. And I strongly believe a big mistake that many make is the person that answers the phone or the front of office, they're like the least most important member of staff in the eyes of the business owner often, where in reality that they play such a key role in the patient experience, in how many schedule, in overcoming objections. They're very much kind of the front line before anything else. So It's interesting to hear how much effort and work you put into them to focus on the little details.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that they are the first person. So no matter what we do as doctors, it is nothing compared to what they do. And I always say, if I'm not there that day, they're fine. If they're not there one day, my whole day is ruined. So their role is so valuable and important, and how just our day-to-day activities go.
Amazing. And in terms of instilling culture of what you guys believe in, is there anything that you do as a team to continue that? So, for example, you'll sit down with a member of staff to begin with, you'll go through the training process, you'll set out expectations. As time goes on, is there anything you do to can always keep your team realigned with the key focus and the key priorities of the business?
We do. We have meetings for our audiologists, meetings for our patient care coordinators about every 4 to 6 weeks. And Brianne and I always attend those meetings together. The audiology ones, we always run together as a team. And then the patient care coordinator ones, they're run by Brianna, myself, and our practice manager. And during those, we reiterate things that are very important. So we discuss changes that they need to look forward to, discuss problems that they've had. And during that time, every time, we stress, especially now with changing times of COVID, just how important that their role is and what we expect from them and how they can perform better at their job or maybe connect with patients a little differently during this time. So I think those meetings are really helpful to bring us together as a team. Because we do have so many offices, and every office has a patient care coordinator and an audiologist, but sometimes you can feel isolated from the whole group as a whole. And I think those meetings just bring us together. And 2 weeks ago, we had one as a whole entire staff. We thought that was really important to do, just to bring us all together and discuss some changes that have happened in the office. So I think those meetings are really important to do it. It does take from patient time because we allow about 2 hours a day for these meetings, but as a company, it really does bring us together.
Amazing. And I suppose the final question, as I keep probing into the way you guys, hire and train and nurture staff, is what would your advice be to, I suppose, another clinic or one of our listeners that may have staff issues? They maybe have, let's say, 10 employees, 7 of them pull in the right direction, 2 of them don't, 1 of them's drilling holes in the boat. Like, what would your advice be to, I suppose, bring everyone along?
Yeah, I think the hard part is if someone's not working out and is bringing your team down, it's just too hard. And I think it's very hard to ever let someone go. It's one of the worst things I've ever done. But I think for the sake of the company, sometimes you have to cut ties when needed and then hire the right type of person to join your team. And I think that making sure that everyone believes in your mission. Our mission is always patient care and providing, we believe that hearing is so valuable and important for patients, especially as we get older. And our team, for our doctors to our staff, just really wants to help people. And I think if you get someone on that team who doesn't understand that, you just have to replace them. And it's very hard to do that, but I think you just have to make sure that you have the right team. Otherwise, it won't work.
Amazing. And I'm going to change the what we're talking about completely here, because one thing that we always focus on in this podcast is dialing down and looking at something that you guys have implemented and really learning the key lessons around it. And I think one thing that you guys did that was somewhat unique is you went very bold with your pricing and decided to share your treatment plans openly through your website. One frustration that I've had with this industry is if you go to Google and look what the most common hearing care related question is, it's how much is hearing aids? Yet everybody in the industry avoids this question. If anybody asks it, they try to drive them to a phone call. If anybody calls them, they try to drive it to an appointment. Nobody knows how to answer it and avoids it. And you obviously made the bold decision to almost list your prices and treatment plans through your website.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued to know what the impact of that has been. And then I suppose we'll discuss the fears before it and some of the key lessons. But let's start with kind of what have you seen since doing that a few months ago?
The one thing I've seen is we were talking about our staff is it's taken this burden off our patient care coordinator's shoulders because you're right, patients call and they're potential patients and they're like, well, how much do hearing aids cost? And, we always tell never say prices on the phone because there's so much that goes into it. And that was always a really stressful question for our employees. So by putting it on their website, they can literally say, oh, you know what? I could tell you, but why don't you go to our website? And it steers people to our website. And it is literally laid out. And we changed during our COVID shutdown, our entire operating structure to be our sales from hearing aid oriented to service oriented. because the service we provide our patients, as you know, is really what guarantees success. It's the hearing aid's a widget. At the end of the day, it's what we're doing for our patients. And we feel like we go above and beyond. That's what my father trained us to do. Brianna and I instilled on every audiologist who works for us. And in doing so, we just felt like putting on our website was just saying, this is what we have to offer. If you're shopping around for the best price, that's not for me. If you're shopping around for the best service, my doors are open. And so by putting it on the website, it was just really providing this transparent approach to our care, where patients can really see what they're getting and decide for themselves what's best. And when patients come into our office, we always provide a needs assessment so we can talk to the patient about what they need and help steer them, because not everyone's going to need your top of the line service plan, but maybe the basic is too minimal for them. And it really is about their lifestyle. So by putting them on our website, it's just this transparent approach that patients don't have to guess. Any office they go to of ours, they're going to get the same exact pricing. And it was just kind of laying it out there for all to see. So I think it's been really positive so far. We haven't had any negative feedback. And if patients see it and they don't want to come in, that's okay. Because I don't have to we want to treat everyone. But if they just feel they're not ready for us, then that's okay too.
Amazing. And prior to doing that, did you have any fears or concerns? Because there's a big reason that stops many people from doing this. I'm intrigued to see kind of what fears you had, and obviously you've explained what's happened now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's terrifying because you're taking this giant leap. At the end of the day, I also thought to myself, it doesn't work, I'll take it down. It's not set in blood. Like I can remove, it's not a Google review that you can never get rid of. We can take it down if it doesn't work. And so I just felt like it was something that I think, with the industry changing and over-the-counter devices coming through in the United States, and the way the industry is shifting, I just felt like we needed to take this leap and help separate us from someone else. So if someone is coming in, we feel our prices are really competitive. Our service plans are very competitive with other providers in our area. And we do feel like putting it out there just took a lot of weight off the patient coming in, because, when you talk to patients about hearing aids, the first question was always, well, how much are they? Now they kind of know. And when we start our conversation with patients about the service plans, we literally give them a printout and say, okay, we're going to review this together. It's also on my website, but let's have this conversation and see where you fall. So it was very scary. It's a huge leap because you're also thinking, I'm putting my prices, if it's too high, they're not coming in. But at the end of the day, those patients might not stay for you anyway. It's getting them in the door. And so far it's been a very positive experience, but it was a little scary.
And did your providers have any resistance to it, or was they in favor of it?
They loved it. Immediately, they were all in favor of it. Every one of them was just thinking that it was a great plan. There was this way they could steer patients to the website. We felt, when patients come in, sometimes they think they can haggle and say, oh, well, I'll buy one at the high end and take this much off. And this way, it literally is showing patients exactly the service plan. There's no of that haggling going on, which we never accepted anyway. And patients just, I think, really appreciate the honesty and the approach to say, like, this is what it is on the website and this is what it is in your door. And it's just a very honest way to, I think, sell devices.
Agreed. And I suppose the key thing is you're not selling the widget here, which most of the industry do.
Right.
If you was putting a price on the widget, then, if it's several $1,000s for a widget, then you're going to get price shocked and nobody's going to work with you.
Right.
You're very transparently highlighting the importance of care over the device and building your treatment plan to show the advanced level of care that somebody receives. And the widget is just a small part of achieving better hearing.
Exactly. And that's what our service plans show, is that, and we tell our patients too, is that, the hearing aid is, the higher up you go in our service plans, the better the hearing aid is. And for these reasons, however, at the end of the day, your success lies on me, not the device.
Amazing. And I've got two final questions for you that I ask all our guests. And the first one is, Melissa, you've clearly continued your family legacy and building and have built a successful business. But what would your advice be to your 18-year-old self, knowing what you know now?
Wow.
Life questions.
It's a really good question. I am very passionate about audiology. I love what I do. I don't think I would have changed anything in my career. I think it maybe would have been to take more business courses when I was in school. Just maybe that would have given me a better foundation for running my own company. And I've definitely learned things. And I think whenever you are in your own business, you learn the hard way and the easy way at times. So I think for me, it would have been if I could have taken more business courses, that would have been really helpful.
Amazing. And final question, given, I suppose, looking at the industry, what's one of the common mistakes that you see other clinics making that you could quite easily point out?
That's a really hard question, because I think a lot of clinics, you have to do what you think is right. And that's kind of what separates different clinics. And some have amazing ideas at times and you try it and it doesn't work. And I don't know if I have any advice for them or can see anything that would be something they can improve on. I just think you have to find what your passion is and move forward with it. And that will typically show in how you conduct your business.
Awesome. And I suppose final thing, if somebody wants to learn more about you, where can they go?
You can go to our website, aaiaudiology.com. I'm happy to be of help if anyone needs. I'm not sure I have great advice. I'm happy to help if you do. But you can always find us on our website.
Awesome. So appreciate your time. Thank you so much. And thank you for listening.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Ali.
And there we have it. That is a wrap. Thank you so much for listening to the Business of Hearing podcast. Make sure you subscribe to be the first to know when a new episode goes live. If you're feeling kind enough to share your experience and leave us a 5-star review, it would mean the world to us. And if you want to learn more, then go to www.orange-grey.com for article guides and trainings specifically written for high-performing hearing care businesses. We look forward to speaking to you again soon.